Welcome back to Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's Grill and Sports Slam. Phil, it's good to have you back on.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting game against Xavier the other night. We got a lot to talk about. A couple of days off, then they're right back here on the podcast. Got a long grind to get through the last part of the season. Hard to believe March is here, so we can finally talk about March Madness and can't be afraid to say the word March now. But a lot has happened in the past couple of days. We had the Big East Awards being announced yesterday. Big East tournament is actually kicking off today between a couple of different teams, and we'll learn who UConn is playing tomorrow very shortly at 12 o'clock tomorrow. But I want to start out today with talking about the Geno comments. Now, Geno had he had quite the comments to say after the Xavier game. In the post-game interview, a lot of the comments you could say were controversial, a little concerning, maybe even confusing. But let's start out with what he said after the game on Monday. Geno said, quote, "The players ain't what they used to be, and the coaching ain't what it used to be either." And he also said, quote, "I knew I should have gotten on that plane with Stewie in 2016, end quote. Now, I know Geno over the years, he tells it how it is, right? He doesn't hold back with his comments. He's very straightforward and doesn't sugarcoat anything. With that said, though, I'm just confused a little bit on why he's making these comments public about the players. It seems to me that this would be something to discuss in a private team meeting, because I have to imagine the girls on this Huskies team, they care about
women. Let's go ahead and straighten that out now, because I was really hammered for that one. These are not girls; they are women.
Right. Yeah. The women on this team, I have to imagine they care about what Geno has to say. And when your head coach that you trust to take you to the top or put you in the best place to win at the highest level comes out and says the players aren't what they used to be and the coaching isn't either, I just think that would cause a little concern and confusion amongst the players in the locker room, because Geno clearly doesn't trust the players. Maybe it's a lack of communication, a lack of understanding each other. But it's also confusing to me why we're still having these problems at the beginning of March. And UConn has played the whole regular season. They've played all 31 games, and we still have all these problems. I just never thought it would get to this point, but it sounds like this season it just never fully clicked like we're used to seeing out of a UConn Huskies team.
Well, I think you really said everything. I'm just going to end the meeting. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not too sure where to start off, Ryan. I think when you look at this team and you look at just sports programs in general, I think it gets overlooked when, and you said this, when you had that winning culture, and then for some odd reason, even though you're getting all the number one prospects out of high school coming to your program, I think that we have to realize that every year is different. Even if you have the same, say you have every single lady returns year after year in a 4-year wingspan, because we know usually it's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Right.
Usually, if you have the same exact roster, say back-to-back years, that's not saying that you're going to win the national title back-to-back years. It's just common sense. You know what I mean? So, and we already know a big factor of that is injuries, and some other stuff can go into that too. Teams that rise up to the occasion that are ready and you're just not ready. So there's a lot more. Yeah. I mean, I love Coach Geno Auriemma, no doubt. I love this guy, but at the same time, I think that his emotions got the best of him just a little bit more than we would have liked to. A little bit more than we would have liked to seen. And I think it's unfortunate, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to play an impact as far as these girls like losing self-confidence or anything like that, because it's Geno, right? It's Geno. I'll go as far as saying the king of basketball when it comes to now. Hold on, I know that's LeBron James. I'm talking about the king as far as coaching. All right, coaching women's basketball and really all of basketball. I mean, he's right there up at the top as far as all head coaches, right? So I don't know, Ryan. It's going to get interesting to see. And again, because he's never really, I think out of all the years that he's been coach, I think this is really, and we thought it was last year. I think it's this year that he's being, I don't really think you can get challenged more than he will this year at this time, heading into the Big East tournament and then heading into March Madness. In my opinion, from the time until right now, until he retires, and then the career that he has had, I think this year right here, no matter what happens, whether they get bounced in the first round, that's just living proof of what I'm telling you right now. This is the most challenging year for him by far that I think we will ever see in his whole career.
Well, and like you said, we thought the most challenging year was last year, and then
Last
we
year,
turned
right.
we
Now, and
turned
we hope we're
around.
not sitting here saying, all right, Ryan, 2024 is here and it's even more challenging than last year. No, I can't see it. It's almost statistically impossible, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's kind of hard to believe how many obstacles and just everything that this team has gone through the past couple of years. But there's a couple more comments I just want to bring up real quick.
Yeah.
All Geno said, it's time we stop blaming the injuries, stop blaming fatigue, stop blaming tired. We are who we are.
Right.
Now, in this statement, I can agree with. I think at this point in the season, you can't blame everything on the injuries and the fatigue factor for this team. It's been a long, tiring season, but at some point, the players have to come together and say, we're going to do this thing together, and with whoever is healthy, with whoever is out on the court, we're going to work with what we have and still dominate every team we play. And I think that happened earlier in the season. I think they were really together, and we really saw that at the beginning of the season. But I'd say that the past month and a half, maybe even 2 months, it's just looked like a totally different team. And also one more comment I wanted to bring up. Geno was asked if the team could improve enough to extend the program streak of 14 straight Final Four appearances. And he responded with, the way we are right now, this team as it is right now, don't add anybody. That ain't happening. Though they could fool me. Now, again, Geno is going to tell you how it is and whatever he thinks. But I just think to say this, it really affects the team's confidence level. And I think it also proves Geno, he just doesn't really have confidence in the team right now. And I think
Yeah.
from a player's perspective, I would just sit back and say, well, if our head coach doesn't believe in us, then why should we believe in ourselves? Why would we believe in the team? So there's a lot of comments circling around, but hopefully, I just hope it doesn't affect the team too much.
The factor for me going into the Big East tournament, I know we want to get into that very quickly, and then we're going to cover what you wanted to get a couple comments in if we have time. I think
Yeah.
that the factor is missing AZ Fudd. I don't have an update. I don't know if you do. I just wonder, man, even if she would have put in 10 to 15 minutes a game going down the stretch, how much more complete this team would be, how much more ready this team would be. And I saw where she's arguably the best 3-point shooter in all of basketball right now, in women's basketball across the nation. I just think it's so unfortunate because it's not like the situation with Paige Beckers where we saw AZ Fudd get injured before the season even started. Okay. And it's potentially even, it hurts you more because we didn't really see, we knew what Paige Beckers was capable of, but we didn't see, sometimes you have a down year, right? Sometimes you have a down year. You don't know what was going to happen with Paige Beckers this season. I have no doubt she would have been amazing on the floor. But at the same time, we already knew what AZ Fudd was capable of. And I was going back, it was weird. I was going back on the ESPN app the other day myself. And I was just thinking to myself, Ryan, it was a little bit emotional. And I kept clicking on the early season games looking back. And who scored, who was putting on their best performance in their whole career, who was leading in points. It's not about leading in points every game. I get it. But even assists, rebounds. I look across, AZ Fudd. I click on the next game, scroll down, AZ Fudd. And I'm just wondering, man. I'm like, man, we're sitting here, Geno is doubting them right now, but sometimes we say, well, it takes a team, but you just wonder if all of these comments from him would have came out if, just if, they had AZ Fudd in there. And I know, I get it. They won the conference as far as first place and this and that, but again, it's mindset. And right now we just don't think that they're fully capable of making a deep run. But are they? Is AZ Fudd the factor? Were they just? And I don't know if she's going to return or not, but were they just one player away if this thing ends early?
Well, I think along with you and I think there's a lot of people that also have the same thought of if AZ would play, or just if one of these players that were injured this season would have been able to play the whole entire season, and the whole team could have been healthy, what the team could have done. But hopefully we get to see that next season, because I believe, of course we're gonna lose Dorka and Lou, but I mean, hopefully next season we can have AZ and Paige fully healthy. So hopefully next season we'll be able to see what this team can do when they're fully healthy. But
Yeah.
I wanted to get into these Big East awards really quick, and then we
Okay.
can talk about the Big East tournament a little bit. But UConn women's basketball junior Aaliyah Edwards, she was named the Big East Most Improved Player of the Year. So good award to win for Aaliyah. She obviously struggled a lot last season, had her ups and downs, but had an incredible season for UConn. So hats off to Aaliyah, Most Improved Player for the Big East. Also, Nika Mule. This one really isn't a surprise, but back-to-back second straight season for Big East Defensive Player of the Year for Nika Mule. I know obviously we talk about it a lot. Sometimes, well, a lot of the times it gets unnoticed, but Nika Mule, she just night in, night out plays tremendous defense, and it always doesn't really show up in the box score, but what she does every night is pretty incredible on defense. Also, Dorka Juhas, Nika Mule were named to the All Big East second team. And for the first team, Lou Lopez Seneschal and Aaliyah Edwards were announced for the All Big East first team selections. And also, this one doesn't have to do with UConn, but I thought I'd bring this up as well. Maddie Segrest is the second straight year for her winning the Big East Player of the Year. So well deserved for Maddie Segrest. We all know too well over here on the UConn side what Maddie Segrest is capable of. So congrats to Maddie Segrest, Leah Edwards, Nika Mule, and Lou for their accomplishments this year in the Big East.
All right. How about just time for one recap, or I'm sorry, one comment, and then we will head out. How about Jason D'Amico? UConn is in trouble if they keep playing like this. I'm seeing a lot of angry and frustrated faces both on the floor and the bench. Geno called them selfish in the post game. They don't have long to figure it out because it could get ugly. Great recap, Rye. Peace.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of frustration and confusion on the court. I've seen comments recently about the players on the bench even don't seem to have the energy that we saw earlier in the season, and they're not excited, or some of them are maybe not into the game like they should be, cheering on their teammates, whatever the case may be. But Jason's right. We don't have a lot of time to figure it out here. We're coming down to the last couple of days. There's not really too many more days we have to figure these problems out, but I think it's definitely possible. The news was pretty positive on AZ Fudd. I haven't heard anything recently within the past couple of days, but I don't think she'll play in the Big East tournament. I don't really know. I don't really know what I think anymore, but hopefully she'll be able to come back for March Madness. And if she does, I think the team has a pretty good chance to be able to make a run at it. But as it looks right now, unfortunately, I kind of agree with Geno. I still have confidence in the team, but it just doesn't look very good right now.
Yeah, tomorrow, 12 o'clock, we'll be right back here, Ryan, around 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock, a little bit later, maybe. But We will definitely be back for you guys to recap the Big East tournament, the first game for the UConn Huskies. And you know, Ryan, it gets serious when you see our Huskies playing in a WNBA arena, home of the Connecticut Sun, Mohegan Sun Arena, Ryan, tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.